Hello, Joe, and welcome to A Moment With. I am so excited to have you with me today.
It's a pleasure being here, Jen. It's really funny. I think we talked about it on the phone, but it was so funny that time I saw you at the Classic and you came up to me.
Yeah.
And you know when you meet somebody and you know weirdly a lot about them, but you've never met, so you like have to kind of pretend that you don't know them.
Yeah, it's that awkward.
That was literally what happened.
That's so funny you say that because I came to was it the comedy club?
Yeah.
I came to watch you do your little stand-up thing. Then I came up to you afterwards to be like, oh, you were so good. And I'd heard about you and seen you on the gram. And then, you said that you'd known about me too. So I was like, this is weird worlds collide.
Because I had just done like this exhibition and Voices Head Hope had been my charity for it. And you came up to me and you were like, you used us as your charity.
You chose us.
And remember, I was like, nah. I was genuinely starstruck.
Totally fine. I put you on the spot and you freaked out.
And here we are.
And here we are today, reconnecting, which is awesome. I'm thrilled to have you along today and to be talking about male mental health, some of your own journey, and having some really important conversations. When I asked you to come on the podcast today, why did you say yes?
I guess talking about mental health and like bringing myself into spaces where those conversations are being had. It's honestly just because I enjoy talking about it, because like for me, a lot of my identity and kind of a lot of my self-discovery came from like my journey with my mental health. First time I ever spoke about it was on, I used to do this podcast back in the day. And from that point onwards, not only was I way more open about my mental health, but I guess myself as a person, I just became way more open and way more comfortable with who I was like in all facets of my life.
Can I ask you about life growing up? What was life like for little Joe?
Yeah, it was definitely, you could describe it as kind of turbulent for sure. So when I was born, we moved to Fiji and then moved back to New Zealand when I was maybe about 2 or 3, and then we were in New Zealand for a couple of years, and then we actually moved overseas when I was about 5 or 6, and then we moved back from overseas, which in the middle we moved to other different countries in that time, but I think we moved back permanently when I was about 11, and then from 13 went to boarding school. And then straight after boarding school, moved up to Auckland. So there was kind of, I think high school was the longest I'd spent in one place in my life. So yeah, for sure, turbulent would be a good way to describe it, I reckon. But it's obviously like given me just as many opportunities as it has left me with like challenges as well.
We were listening to an episode of, I think it's called Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower.
Oh yeah.
And you talked about finding it strange coming back to New Zealand after spending years in Asia and overseas. And you talked about when you were asked for your nationality, you used to put New Zealand European.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Was that a loss of identity? And what was that like for you?
It was really crazy, I think, because so when I came back, I had an accent, and I've always, for like lack of any better way to describe it, I've always kind of like, people have always kind of made fun of me for not seeming like a brown dude, and this is for not like fitting into the stereotypes of
standards or whatever it may be.
Of whatever a quote unquote brown person is, because I've always kind of spoken a certain way and liked certain things. For instance, whether it was even amongst my own family, like amongst Māori, because I don't look particularly Māori because I'm very dark. That was like one reason why I didn't really fit in there in particular. But then when it came to being a Pacific Islander, because I, spoke the way I do, that was also another reason why I guess I was excluded in a lot of places there as well. And so it was a massive, it did have a huge effect on me as a kid, because I kind of had no idea like which group I sort of fell into.